Today, we are pleased to have Kumar Shreemant Himmat Bahaddur Jeetendrasingh Jee, Gaikwad of Baroda, as our chief guest. Kumar Jeetendrasingh Jee um, is the great grandson of Kashi Rao Gaikwad, the elder brother of the legendary Maharaja Sayaji Rao Gaikwad of Baroda, one of the greatest rulers of princely India, and the nephew of Maharaj Kumari Indira Devi of Baroda, Her Highness of Maharani of Cooch Behar. Kunwar Jee has been associated with the heritage revival movement in India for a considerable period and is known internationally for his great endeavors and efforts. Um, Sir.
So, good evening, everybody. Am I audible now?
Good evening, sir. Good evening.
Good evening.
Okay,
Yes,
okay.
you're perfectly audible.
Sure, sure. First of all, let me thank Mr. Paul for inviting me over to this forum. It's a very interesting thing that I have been observing since last 2 days, and especially the kind of content and the kind of scholars that you have got on board is mind-blowing. Now, I had suggested to Mr. Paul that whatever, he wants to ask me from the point of view of heritage revival in Cooch Behar, because Cooch Behar I visited number of times. 4.5 years ago, we were there for a period of almost 20 days for a very big occasion, which was, again managed by the Cooch Behar Archives. So, I am basically a specialist in monetizing the locations and monetizing heritage tourism into making it into a working proposition for bread and butter earning. This is very important in today's times because you see I have worked with practically all royal families. I would like to introduce myself in a, I would say, atypical manner. My name is Himmat Bahaddur Jeetendrasingh Jee Gaikwad. I happen to be the grand nephew of your Maharani Sahib Indira Raje. Indira Raje was the princess of Baroda state, Maharaja Sayaji Rao's daughter, and she happens to be my grand aunt. And I have been trained in Rajputana, Gujarat, Mysore state, as well as a part of Madhya Pradesh in heritage revival. I have experience of around 30 years so far as the heritage revival is concerned. And we have done some extensive work in Cooch Behar 4.5 years ago, which naturally was left at that stage because later on we could not come and complete the assignment. But now I would like Mr. Paul to ask me what exactly I am supposed to address and what are the questions that you will be putting to me. And I would give a best possible replies to all the questions that you put up.
Hello.
Yeah, Mr. Paul, tell me.
Yes.
Yes, tell me.
First of all, very thank you. Thanks to you for
my pleasure. Yeah.
We are honored.
Correct.
We would like to know your memories of Cooch Behar.
Yeah, I
and
see.
Her Highness Maharani Indira Raje of Cooch Behar.
Okay. So first of all, I would like to divide the memories into two parts. First thing would be the family memories, and second would be the geographical location-based memories. You see, Princess Indira Raje passed away in 1968 when I was about 6 years old. I still remember it was 6th of September or something in 1968. I have very fond memories of Cooch Behar because I had visited Cooch Behar with my late father and my late uncle sometime in the early part of 1966 when I was about 5 years old. But I have a vivid description of all the heritage buildings and the beautiful place that Cooch Behar was. In those days, of course, at that time, I did not study much about the topography and the geography of Cooch Behar. So I had a limited sense of knowledge. But my second visit was after she passed away in 1968. Again, in between, we came in for 2 or 3 visits in between. But my most important visit has been due to the invitation of Mr. Paul in the month of December 2016, when I spent about 3 weeks in Cooch Behar studying and understanding practically everything that once upon a time the Koch kingdom of Cooch Behar had proudly displayed to the world and exhibited to mankind. In those days, I would just like to summarize that there were 8 different parts of Cooch Behar which I had studied as a child. and it was a very, very beautiful kingdom, very beautiful kingdom. Lot of water, lot of lakes, lot of rivers, pristine mountains, lush green forests, flora and fauna at its peak. I remember what Professor Saab said about, Das Saab said about flora and fauna, how we have buggered it up in the last 60, 70 years. The memories are fantastic, not only from the picnics that we had, the educational tours that we had. We visited so many places. To be very frank, in those days, or rather my 4 or 5 visits to Cooch Behar, I visited Mekhliganj, I visited Mathabanga, Cooch Behar, Tufanganj, Sitalkuchi also I had visited, and of course Dinhata. These are the places that I visited, and there were handicrafts to be seen, beautiful temples to be seen. Then again the cultural dances, and of course the Cooch Behari food. I am also, a fish eater, so we really relished the kind of food that we enjoyed in Cooch Behar in those days. Now, regarding the family attachment with the Cooch Behar royal family, myself, I am the great grand nephew of the legendary Maharaja Sir Sayajirao Gaikwad of Baroda. I think Mr. Bhuinskar is there. Bhuinskar is there on the our group just now while we are, having this dialogue. He would be in a position to appreciate what I exactly mean. Indira Raje was the only daughter to Maharaja Sayajirao, and naturally she was a pampered child in her own days. And Maharaja wanted to find a very good match for her. So there were 2 instances wherein we almost finalized the betrothal or the alliance with 2 different kingdoms. First, the first kingdom we of course thought was Mysore, because Maharaja of Mysore's younger brother was, Narsimha Raja Wadiyar. He was basically known as Kantirawa Narsimha Raja Wadiyar. And it was a very romantic situation way back in 1907, 1908. It fell through. Then we thought of, getting her married to Gwalior, but somehow or other that could not happen. And finally, in 1913, she took her bold decision to get married to our Jeetendrasingh Jee of Cooch Behar. And it happened on 26th of August 1930 in England, 1913. That means almost 108 years ago. Now, she used to come to Baroda. My mother, my father, they have interacted with her. She was a very, very graceful lady. At the same time, her behavior was very gracious. Typical old school anglicized way of upbringing. Maharaja Sayajirao was very particular in upbringing of his children. Her mother, that is Maharani Chimnabai Sahib, who happens to be my great grand aunt, was the second wife of Maharaja Sayajirao, and she was awarded the covetous title of Crown of India, CI. Only 3 Maharanis got the CI from the British Crown. The first was Baroda, second was Bikaner, and third was Travancore. So we come with a very illustrious background. And post 1913, there was a sort of a lull in the relationships between Baroda and Cooch Behar. But my great-grandfather, that is the older brother of Maharaja Sayajirao, by the name of Senapati Himmat Bahaddur Anandrao Kashirao Maharaj, Commander-in-Chief of the Baroda Army, he intervened, and a patch-up sort of a thing was, finally was the outcome of his efforts. Unfortunately, he passed away in 1917. But after that, Maharaja Sayajirao started having exchange program of officials of Baroda state visiting Cooch Behar and vice versa for exchange of expertise. That is how you will find that there are a lot of tea gardens, there are a lot of coffee estates in and around, of course, there are a lot of greenification projects which have come up in Cooch Behar in collaboration with Baroda state. In fact, Dalgaon Tea Estate, Mr. Paul had taken me there, and I was very happy to find out that way back in the 40s, how Maharaja Pratap Singh Rao, that means the grandson of Maharaja Sayajirao and the nephew of Princess Indira Raje, or rather the cousin brother of Gayatri Devi, Princess of Cooch Behar, he came all the way, and Jagdipendra Narayanji, that is his cousin brother, and Maharaja Pratap Singh Rao, how they came up with a brilliant idea of converting around 10,000 acres of land into a tea estate. And that is how the Dalgaon Tea Estate and the surrounding tea estates were created. And of course, after 1952, we had to hand over all the tea estates back to the new regime. And then they got the ownership got diluted, and now it is with the corporate houses. So Princess Indira Raje Very fond memories. My mother, who is 93 years old and she is still living by grace of God, she has wonderful memories of Maharani Sahib, that means Princess Indira Raje. We have memories of Gayatri Devi because, during my tenure, I used to interact her at Lily Pool in Jaipur and so many other places. So we have a familial bond, and the bond has been rejuvenated by the efforts of Cooch Behar Archive. And I'm very happy that after 4.5 years of my visit to Cooch Behar, they invited me over today to say something about the geographical memories that I have, the topographical memories that I have of Cooch Behar during my 3-4 visits in my lifetime, and of course the personal relationship with the royal family of Cooch Behar.
So, two comments I can see here. One from Ramavatar Sharma. He said, Hukum, good evening. We respectfully remember you and cherish your visit at Cooch Behar Tea Garden.
That's right. I remember Sharma Saab. I remember him. Jee.
Okay. So, unfortunately, I was not there when you visited Cooch Behar. I was out of station. So, maybe next time we'll meet. Another comment, Kunwar Ishan. He said, Pranam to all the respected participants. My question to Hukum is, there are many historical buildings given by the royal families to the government of India, which are in a bad condition due to the negligence by the authorities, like what happened in. So the comment is there are many historical
I have understood the comment
given by the royal families to the government.
Yeah.
Okay, so like what happened in Napsari. So what are the options to save and preserve those beautiful archaeological sites from being eventually destroyed?
Correct. Now, this is a very, very difficult question to answer, but what I will do, I'll break the question into 3 parts. First thing is that what we did in Navsari is something very unique. We took the representation into the public domain. You see, the Gaikwad Sarkar had 64 palaces in our country.
I'm interrupting. I'm interrupting because I'm completely unaware of this, what happened in Napsari. Can you?
No, that is exactly what I'm trying to tell you. You see, basically, see, what happens is that 70 years have gone by after we have given very innocently all our properties to the new government to run their organizations or the administration. Now, most of the properties that were given by the kings to the new government had an underlying condition that once the new regime is able to make their premises of their own ownership, they can shift into their premises and hand over the properties back to the families. That was the underlying condition. But what has happened in the last 70 years, the government has taken more than 50-60 years to just have their own facility built up. Here we are talking that everything has to be instantaneous and everything has to be done within a week or within, say, a fortnight. And these people, especially the new administration, it sat on our properties for practically 70 years. Now, during these 70 years, 3 generations of our family have been, they passed away. Ours is the 4th generation after independence. Ours is the 4th generation which is trying to do something. Now, one thing is very clear. Most of the properties which have been taken over by the government at that point of time were done under a charter of partnership. Now, this charter is missing in the government records. Now, if the royal family is not careful enough to protect their own properties, the paperwork, and keep it safely, then it becomes a ticklish issue to fight out with the government because the government infrastructure has the judiciary on their side. Now, the second thing is that, therefore, what we did is that we went into the public domain. The moment you go into the public domain, and if you are able to convince the authorities as well as the political masters that this particular property can be utilized for better purposes if it is in the public domain, then and only then there is a chance for retrieving the properties, because as such the government has no funds to manage the properties on their own. In case of Navsari, this is what we did. And it has become a sort of a trendsetter because this we are trying to achieve by bringing it, making it into a museum, making it into an exhibition hall, making it into a concert hall. The properties are beautiful and fantastic. Only thing is that last 70 years they have not been maintained at all. So first of all, there will be a lot of expenditure required to make the property navigable. That means the property which will be more or less occupiable. And after that, all things can be done provided there is a cooperation from all sectors of the society, and that we have been able to do at many places. But in certain cases, when the property has depleted its, I would say, its life itself, then we are not in a position to salvage the property. So this is how it is. We have to take it in the public domain and do it properly by studying the history, studying the heritage, studying the legacy, and studying so many myriad number of points which can be used for public benefit. This is the only way we can go ahead. Next. I hope Kumar Ishan has got
Kumar
the this
has
thing.
thanked you.
Yes.
Yeah, he also has thanked you.
Thank you very much. Welcome.
Yeah, so, okay, I think, is there any more question? Do you have any questions? Okay, so I think that's it. So, we offer our most sincere thanks to Kunwar
Jee.
Jeetendrasingh Jee of Baroda for his excellent recollections. The archive was honored to bestow upon him the title of the Prince of Heritage Revival in 2016 when he visited
Thank
Cooch
you.
Behar.
Thank you.
We are very delighted and honored to have Jeetendrasingh Jee with us today. Thank you, sir. Thank you once again for your wonderful talk.
Wish you all the best. Good luck, good wishes, and keep it up.
Thank
Jai
you.
Hind.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Jai.
you,
We are
Thank you.
very honored to have you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.